Japan is renowned for being one of the best places in the world to go secondhand shopping, and that spans a range from cars to fashion to Birkins and to my personal favorite, toys. But if you've never been to Japan and you have limited time to explore, what are the best toy shops for you to spend your time in? Well, I'm here to help. As an expert toy hunter and a former resident of Japan, I am in a great position to tell you guys the best toy shops to go to, no gatekeeping. Hello, I'm Emily and I run Natsukashi Retro, a vintage toy shop that aims to reconnect you with memories you forgot you even had. So first off, I'm going to start with the best overall chain. If you can only go to one store, go to one of these. Mandarake. A massive chain of vintage shops. They have stores all over Japan and hold a huge amount of vintage toys, games, movies, ephemera, everything. My personal favorite is Mandarake Kyoto, which is pretty new. It's only a couple years old now, and we found it completely by accident. It's inside the Takashimaya department store, and we were only in there looking for the Nintendo store. So it was such a nice surprise to stumble upon it. Not for my wallet. It's one of the most aesthetically pleasing Mandarake locations I've been to and feels a lot more spacious and spread out than some of their other spots. The first store I ever went to was the Shibuya location. It's down in a basement, it's really cramped, it sort of has steampunk vibes, and it's super nostalgic for me every time I go back to Japan. On my most recent trip, I stayed in Denden Town, Osaka, so I got to go to their large Osaka location for the first time ever. It was huge and I found so many awesome things. Price-wise, you can find great deals. I would say that it's very rarely overpriced. It's usually pretty fairly priced across the board, but with some hidden gems. But what about good deals? As far as chain store goes, you're most likely to find a good deal in a neighborhood book-off or hobby-off, but there's less of those. Maybe not in the Akihabara or Shinjuku locations, but if you go outside of the tourist areas, even in Tokyo, you're going to find some good deals. A couple of my favorite locations in Tokyo are the Ayase and the Asakusa Matsugaya locations. Selection in these smaller stores can feel more like a gamble than at some of the bigger locations. For example, in Akihabara and Shinjuku, you're more likely to find multiples of popular things, like I found multiples of the original Pokemon games, for example. A friend of mine recommended the large book-off down in Kawasaki, but sadly we didn't make it down there on this trip. Which reminds me, did you guys ever go to Warehouse Kawasaki when it was open? It was this 24-hour arcade, and it was built to look like the Kowloon walled city. It was so cool. I was so sad when it closed. Anyway, what about if you're into the vibes as much as you are into the shopping? Then I have two places to recommend for you, one in Tokyo and one in Osaka. In Tokyo, I recommend 2000 Toys, a Koenji toy shop that has built quite a cult following. Subtle and unassuming from the outside, as soon as you step through the doors, you are transported to nostalgia heaven. Every inch of the store, including the ceiling, is packed to the brim with so many toys. Price-wise, it's not the cheapest, but it's definitely not the most expensive, so if you are a collector and you come across a Holy Grail piece, this is a great place to pick it up. Just be aware they don't do tax-free shopping there. Actually, most of the independent stores won't do tax-free shopping, so that is something to keep in mind, but a lot of the big chains like Mandarake and Book-Off do. And then my favorite vibey toy shop in Osaka is BB Yamamura, but it is definitely on the pricier side of things. You probably won't find a good deal there, but the vibes in the store are so great, it has so many cool things, and the staff are so nice and so friendly. Because the aisles are so narrow, there's a bag check situation at the front where they will look after your shopping bags and other big bags while you browse. What I love most about this store is that the cabinets aren't locked. The staff encourage you to open them up, pick up everything, look at them closely, touch everything. As an anxious girl myself, it is really nice not having to call a staff member over every time I want to look at something closer inside of a cabinet. And honestly, I could do laps and laps at that store and discover something new every single time. Down the road from there is one of my all-time favorite stores, Antique Mike's. It has a mixture of genuine vintage items and vintage look items and just general pop culture things. And the staff there are also so nice and so friendly. The products are super well organized there, section by section, and the staff are so quick to be by your side to open up a cabinet for you if you want a closer look at something. It's full of awesome stuff and the layout makes it feel quite open. It doesn't feel cramped in there ever. They had an awesome selection of McDonald's toys and Barbie playsets. So if you're in Osaka, you have to go there since I know you're going to be in Amerikamura vintage shopping anyway. Alrighty, so what about Tokyo's iconic Nakano Broadway? If you aren't familiar, Nakano Broadway is a shopping center in Tokyo that is packed to the brim of vintage stores. Mostly toys and collectibles, but also quite a few watch and handbag stores. It originally opened in the 60s as a mixed-use complex with shops and apartments and restaurants and even a pool. But it faded as a destination as Shinjuku and Shibuya took over that luxury commercial market. But in 1980, Mandarake opened their first ever location there, and its popularity led to other similar otaku-themed stores popping up around it. This completely revitalized the mall, and in the decades since has become renowned for being the place to go for retro shopping. Side note, the architecture is so interesting when juxtaposed with the shops that it hosts. It feels weirdly liminal even when everything is open. Side note, most of the stores don't open till 11, with some opening even later, so don't head there early in the morning. But is Nakano Broadway still cool in 2025? I would say yes. While at times it feels like a Mandarake mall because they have so many different locations throughout it, that's not necessarily a bad thing because Mandarake is awesome. And it's actually where they run their head office. They also have a one-stop shop there where you can take all your Mandarake receipts from Nakano Broadway for your tax refund. There are some really expensive tourist trap feeling stores there, but there are also some that remind me of the old days of shopping in Japan, where you can still get some really good deals. My personal favorite was a little store called Ai. It was tiny and it had an adorable collection of little figures and a sweet old lady manning the till. When I was wandering around the store, there were two older ladies in there as well, and I kept hearing them go, "Natsukashi," at different things, and that is the whole reason I got into this business, so it was really nice being in a store that evoked that feeling. When I open a brick and mortar store, that is the sort of vibe that I want. The prices there were probably too low, but I'm not complaining. So to wrap it up, my recommendations for good deals are a neighborhood book off or hobby off, or Ai at Nakano Broadway. My recommendation if you can only visit one store, whichever Mandarake is closest to you. My recommendation for cool vibes, BB Amamura or 2000 Toys. And my personal favorite shops are Antique Mike's or Mandarake. I'm planning my next trip to Japan and I would love your recommendations. Are there any hidden gems that you recommend, or do you prefer to shop in the mainstream spots like Nakano Broadway? Let me know. That is all for today. Happy shopping!